I dropped the oven mitt. It hit the floor hard, louder than it should have, louder than the message that came in right before. Nolan. Hey Mom, we talked. This year Thanksgiving will just be us, me, Brielle, and Finn. Please don't take it the wrong way. Just trying to keep things simple. Not a call, not a knock on the door, just a text. In the family group chat right after Brielle posted a link to her Thanksgiving centerpiece inspo board. I read it twice. My thumb hovered over the screen like it might change. I didn't ask who he was. I didn't ask what simple meant. I typed back, understood. Then I left the chat, deleted the thread, closed the phone. The oven beeped behind me. I turned, walked to it, switched it off. The kitchen filled with silence. Even the clock on the wall stopped ticking, or maybe I just stopped hearing it. The turkey sat thawing in the sink. The pie crusts were halfway rolled. I'd spent the morning laying out linen napkins, ironing the old burnt orange tablecloth I only used this time of year. I'd bought candles, new plates, cleaned the glass cabinet until it gleamed. I picked up the mitt, put it back in the drawer, folded it, slow. The drawer squeaked when I shut it. I didn't cry. Not then. I took the pie crusts, wrapped them in plastic, and shoved them to the back of the fridge. Moved the turkey to the bottom shelf. Closed it. In the dining room, the centerpiece I'd arranged pine cones, eucalyptus, one small ceramic pumpkin looked like a joke, like a stage someone forgot to clear. I removed it, piece by piece. Later that afternoon, I sat at the table with a cup of black coffee, no cream. The mail was stacked beside me. Nothing urgent. Just catalogs, coupons, a retirement newsletter I never subscribed to. I didn't answer the phone when it rang. Diane from next door. I let it go to voicemail. I knew what it would be. Cheerful, curious, maybe even kind. But I couldn't take kindness yet. Not while my chest still felt tight, like someone had left the window open in a snowstorm and told me to smile through the chill. I thought about Finn, his little hands, his crooked drawings, the way he once whispered, "Grandma makes the best gravy." I wondered if he'd notice I wasn't there. I wondered if he'd ask. By evening, the kitchen was spotless. I lit a candle out of habit, blew it out 2 minutes later. I opened the drawer near the pantry, the one I hadn't looked in for years. Buried beneath old bills and warranty slips was a folder, yellowed, labeled in my handwriting, Contingency, 2013. I stared at it, didn't open it, just placed it gently on the table beside my coffee. Tomorrow, I'd see what still mattered. Then I went to bed with the light on. I grabbed the smaller turkey. 11 pounds. Enough for one, maybe two. I didn't need more than that. I set it in the cart, tucked it between a sack of sweet potatoes and a bag of cranberries I hadn't planned to buy. My hands moved on autopilot. My stomach didn't growl. It just sat there, hollow. The store was packed. Aisles filled with carts and chatter. People comparing stuffing mixes, asking about brining times. Kids knocking over cans. One woman near the deli held up a centerpiece made of wheat stalks and berries. "Isn't this gorgeous?" she said, showing the cashier. "We're finally doing Thanksgiving at our place again. First time in years. Everyone's coming. Even Aunt Jean. She laughed like that meant something." The cashier smiled, nodded. "You're brave." I stood behind them holding canned pumpkin in one hand, instant yeast in the other. Not because I needed either, just something to hold. The woman looked back, met my eyes briefly, then turned to finish her story. She didn't ask me anything. Didn't have to. I smiled when the cashier said, "Next," placed my items on the belt, answered the usual questions. "Yes, paper is fine. No, I don't need help out." I pushed the cart to my car and sat in the driver's seat for a while. Didn't start the engine. The grocery bags looked too full for a party I wasn't invited to. I thought about putting the turkey back, maybe the whole cart. Thought about going home and pretending none of this had happened. Thought about lighting a candle again, pouring wine, sitting in that too quiet dining room, and pretending I wasn't just a name they could delete, but I didn't put anything back. I drove home slow, turned on the classical station, though I didn't hear most of it. The house smelled like cinnamon from the candle I blew out the night before. The scent lingered in the air like it hadn't accepted my decision to extinguish it. I unpacked the groceries, set the turkey in the fridge again, washed the sweet potatoes, lined them on the counter like I might roast them tomorrow. In the pantry, I moved a few jars to the side and made space for the new cans. That's when I saw the photo strip stuck to the inside wall, me and Finn, at the fall carnival last year. His cheeks were painted like a pumpkin. He was missing a front tooth. I was wearing a ridiculous headband with turkey feathers. We looked ridiculous. Happy. Real. I didn't take it down. Instead, I reached into the pantry and pulled out the old gravy boat, the one Nolan hated. Said it looked too vintage. I set it in the sink, started scrubbing, kept scrubbing even after it was clean. Later, I made tea. Black. Bitter. Sat by the window and watched as dusk dropped fast. Across the fence, Diane's porch light flicked on. She waved. I waved back. She stepped outside, called softly. Big plans for the big day. I raised the mug. Just the usual. She nodded. Didn't press. She always knew when not to. Inside the folder still sat unopened on the table. I pulled it closer. This time, I opened it. I parked down the street. No invitation. No text back. But I had the gift. I'd wrapped it myself, simple blue paper silver ribbon, a little card with Finn's name and a hand-drawn balloon. I walked up the path. Front yard trimmed. New wreath on the door leaves burlap. Something that looked professionally arranged. I knocked once. Brielle opened the door. Tight smile. One hand on the knob, the other holding her phone. Oh, she said, like I wasn't expected. It's just for Finn, I said. Held up the box. I won't stay. She didn't move, didn't open the door wider, just glanced down at the gift like it was something delicate or dangerous. Then she reached out, took it with 2 fingers and gave a smile that didn't touch her eyes. I'll make sure he gets it. Behind her, I heard footsteps. Quick ones. Finn's voice. Is it Grandma Brielle stepped halfway back, blocking the hallway? Just a minute, sweetie. He didn't come to the door. I looked past her shoulder into the hallway. The light was on. The walls were freshly painted, some neutral beige and lined with framed photos. A gallery wall. I recognized the layout. We'd made it together years ago. Second row middle frame used to be a picture of Nolan, Finn, and me at the coast. I remember the wind, the way Finn's hair stuck up the pink hoodie I wore that Nolan always made fun of. Now the frame held a photo from the same trip, but I wasn't in it. Just Nolan, Brielle, and Finn. Same background? Same moment? Cropped. My hand twitched. I smoothed it down my coat. Brielle noticed me staring. We redid the wall, she said. Clean lines? Better flow? I nodded. Didn't trust my voice. Thanks for stopping by, she added. I turned to go. Tell him happy birthday from me, I said. She didn't answer. Just closed the door gently, like I was something she needed to keep out, but didn't want to disturb. I walked back to the car, sat there a long time before starting it. At home, I didn't take off my coat. Just stood in the entryway, staring at the frame by my stairs one with all of us laughing. Finn with cake on his cheeks. I didn't touch it. But I did go into the study. Opened the folder again, spread out every page. Deed copies, bank statements. A letter from 2011 signed by Nolan acknowledging the transfer from my CD toward their down payment. Terms, promises, gratitude. I sat down, pulled the candle toward me, lit it this time. And beside the folder I placed a new notepad. Blank, waiting. I flipped to the second page. There it was. My handwriting, my initials. A small square notary stamp in the corner. Faint, but still clear. Date of transfer, November 3rd, 2013. Source of funds. IRA withdrawal. CL Lane. Purpose. Down payment assistance for primary residence. N Lane. I remembered the day. The pen, the smell of the bank. I wore a green coat. Nolan said I looked too formal. I said I was signing over 30 years of savings. It felt right to dress for the occasion. He kissed my cheek outside the bank. Said, "You'll always have a place with us." I believed him. The title page was newer. A reprint. Brielle's name added next to his. Mine was nowhere. Not even in the memo line. But I recognized the sequence code on the wire transfer my old credit union used that format. I had memorized it back when I balanced every penny. They'd kept the house, forgot the hand that helped build it. I reached for my notebook, wrote a name, a date, circled it, then flipped the page and kept writing. The office air felt tight. Still, I opened the window, let cold air in. In the hallway, I passed the hall closet, opened it, dug into the top shelf. Behind an old shoebox and a cracked flashlight, I found what I was looking for, a binder labeled Final Affairs. I'd made it after Harold passed. Organized everything down to the funeral playlist. I flipped through the tabs. Medical, insurance, will. The trust agreement was in the back. I scanned for Nolan's name. Still listed as primary beneficiary. Still trusted. I closed the binder without tearing anything out. Not yet. Instead, I went to the kitchen. Made coffee, strong, no sugar. I stood at the sink and watched the backyard fade into gray. Leaves floated across the deck. One landed in the bird bath and spun slowly, like it wasn't in a hurry to sink. My phone buzzed once. A calendar reminder. Order centerpiece. I deleted it. Another buzz. A message from Diane. Want to join me at the church pantry this weekend? Need help sorting boxes? I didn't reply right away. I poured my coffee, carried it back to the table, opened the folder again. One copy of the letter from Nolan thanking me for the support. His signature underneath. I traced the ink with my finger, then pulled my phone closer and took a photo. Backed it up, labeled it Document A, Original. I opened my email, created a new draft, attached the photo. No recipient yet. Just subject line, reference for revision, estate terms. I saved it to drafts, didn't send. But it was there, quiet, waiting. I pulled the drawer all the way out. Dust, old pens, expired coupons, a key to a lock I didn't remember. And there pressed, flat beneath a stack of greeting cards I never sent, was the folder. Yellow, bent at the edges, labeled in black marker, Contingency, 2013. I took it to the kitchen table, wiped it clean with my sleeve. The clasp cracked when I opened it. First page an inventory list. My handwriting again, precise, firm. If they ever forget the title read. My heart didn't race. It slowed, solid. Like I was walking back into a room I'd once owned. There were photocopies of every document I'd signed during that year, bank withdrawals, notarized agreements, even the email chain with Nolan about the loan. "We'll pay you back, Mom. Or if not, the house will be yours too someday." He'd written that like it was kindness. Below that, backup passwords for my accounts, old ones. Most were changed now, but it was proof. I'd been ready once. I just hadn't thought I'd need to be again. I found a sealed envelope tucked into the back pocket. To Lane and Associates Legal, my lawyer. The same firm that handled Harold's estate. The same one that helped me set up the trust. I didn't open the envelope, just held it. Then I saw the second note, folded twice, written in blue ink on lined paper. My own words, but I didn't remember writing them. "If they ever forget you paid for the down payment. You cleaned their kitchen when she was sick. You watched Finn when no one else would show up. You gave them your name, your money, your time. They gave you silence. There was no anger in the writing. Just record, just fact. I folded it back up, put it beside the envelope. It didn't make me feel powerful. Not yet. Just steady. I returned the documents to the folder. This time I left it out. Placed it beside the binder. Set a pen on top. Then I went to the cabinet. Pulled down the small metal box where I kept spare keys and stamps. I opened it. Removed the last item inside an old business card, slightly curled at the corners. Janice R. Holloway Esker Trusts and Estates, Lane and Associates. Her direct line, still printed in black ink. I laid it beside the envelope. Then I made a list. Names, accounts, dates. I didn't rush, didn't skip. Every line had weight. Outside, the leaves rustled against the window. I didn't look up, didn't flinch. I just kept writing. I placed the sweet potato casserole on the table and stepped back. Someone slid another dish in beside it, mac and cheese with a crunchy top, and the table shifted with the weight of it all. Laughter bounced off the church hall walls. Folding chairs scraped. Forks clinked. I found a seat near the end, not too close to the center, not far enough to be obvious. Brielle arrived late. Coat perfectly draped, hair curled at the ends. She carried a ceramic platter with her usual flair and a bottle of her signature cranberry spritz, like she'd invented the flavor. A few women, Carol from the choir, Janet from Sunday Craft Circle, rose a little from their seats to greet her. "Oh, Brielle, you look stunning." She did a soft laugh. "Practiced. We're just so excited for Thanksgiving this year. Doing a full curated meal, no clutter, no chaos." I knew what she meant. She didn't say my name. She didn't have to. Carol leaned in. "Just the three of you." "Mm-hmm," Brielle said, keeping it really meaningful, simple. The word again. Simple. Like I was mess. Someone passed the rolls. I took one, broke it in half, didn't butter it. I wasn't hungry. Janet glanced in my direction, then looked away too fast. Her smile didn't reach me. I drank water, listened. Brielle talked about place settings, reclaimed woodrunners, handmade menus. She showed someone a picture on her phone. I caught a glimpse of the screen, a table draped in white little gold pumpkins spaced just so. 3 name cards. No room for a fourth. The pastor made a small toast. Nothing formal, just a blessing for the meal and the season. Heads bowed, plates filled, conversation swirled again. Diane touched my arm gently. "I'm glad you came," she whispered. I nodded. That was enough. Halfway through the meal, I stood to refill the coffee urn. Poured slow, let the heat rise into my face like steam might wash off what I was feeling. On my way back, I heard someone say, "Brielle's really got that Martha Stewart touch, huh?" And someone else added, "That family's doing great." Family. Like I wasn't part of it anymore. Like I'd been airbrushed out of the frame. I sat down. Ate nothing. Later, while people cleared plates, Brielle laughed softly with the pastor's wife. Then she turned toward me the first time all evening. "Mom," she said lightly, like nothing was fractured. "Did you bring your pecan pie again this year?" I met her eyes. "No," I said. "Oh," she blinked. "That's too bad." She turned away before I did. I helped fold napkins, carried dishes back to the kitchen, kept my hands busy. No one asked how I was. No one asked where I'd be this week. On the way out, Diane walked me to the car. "You're still invited to our table, you know," she said. I know, I told her. "Thank you." She hugged me, held tight. At home, I placed the roll I hadn't eaten in the fridge, for no reason. Then I picked up the folder again, flipped to the page I'd marked, added 2 more names to the list. My phone buzzed before sunrise. One new message. From Brielle. "Hope no hard feelings. We just needed space this year. Hope you find something relaxing to do. No greeting, no punctuation beyond the exclamation. Just bright-colored detachment dressed as politeness." I stared at the screen. Didn't blink. Took a screenshot. saved it to the same folder where I'd kept Nolan's signature. Then I deleted the message, thread and all. No archive, no trace. I placed the phone face down and went to make coffee. Black, no sugar. Let it burn a little. Let it steep long enough to feel bitter on purpose. I didn't sit to drink it. I stood at the counter, mug in one hand, my other hand flipping through the yellow folder again. I reviewed every page like it was my first time seeing them. I marked 3 more documents with sticky tabs, wrote in the margins, drew boxes around old promises. By noon, I was ready. I pulled the business card from the stack. Janice R. Holloway. Her office hadn't changed location in over a decade. Downtown 3rd floor glass corner office that always smelled like cinnamon mints. I called. The receptionist recognized my name, said Janice was in a meeting but could call me back after lunch. I said, "Tell her I'd like to revisit the Lane Trust." The woman paused. I could hear her typing. "She'll be available at 2:30. Would you prefer in-person or phone in person?" I ended the call, went to the closet, took down the blazer I hadn't worn since Harold's memorial, brushed the shoulders, checked the lining, no moth holes. At 2:10, I walked into the law office holding a leather folder and a paper bag with a spare copy of my notes. Janice smiled when she saw me. "You look well," she said. "I look quiet," I replied. "Not the same thing." We sat. She reviewed what I brought, took off her glasses, read more slowly as she got to the pages I'd marked. When she got to the email draft, I'd printed the one I never sent. She looked up. "You're not just angry," she said. "No," I said. "I'm organized." She nodded. We spent the next 40 minutes restructuring the trust, quietly, carefully. By the time I left, a new draft was in motion. One signature short of final. I drove home without the radio on. Back at the house, I opened my laptop, checked the family photo folder. Most were old now. Most had been cropped before anyone else had the chance. I selected one fin in my lap, icing on both our cheeks. Harold's arm half visible beside me. I printed it. 4 or 6. Glossy. Taped it to the fridge. Then I opened my phone again. Scrolled through the old messages I hadn't deleted yet. One from Nolan 6 months back. "Thanks for grabbing Finn from daycare. I owe you lunch soon." I archived it. Nothing more. Then I opened my banking app. Noted the balances. Cross-checked them with the ones I'd printed. Adjusted the draft in my folder. Drew a thick line through one account labeled Future Education Fund. Finn. Beside it, I wrote pending review. I pulled everything off the pantry shelf. Cans first, then the old spice rack. Boxes of pasta I hadn't touched since summer. A jar of molasses 2 years expired. I tossed what needed tossing, wiped down every inch. The sponge caught on a torn envelope wedged behind a container of oats. I pulled it free. Inside, a folded sheet of notepad paper. Yellowed at the corners. My handwriting. A grocery list at first. Sweet corn pumpkin puree cloves. But further down past scribbled measurements and crossed out dishes was a different kind of list. Smaller words, tighter spacing. People to remove from emergency contacts. Nolan, Brielle, Carol from book club, the McAllens. Pastor Rick personal, not church. I stared at the first name. I'd written it long before the text, before the cropping, before the simple Thanksgiving. I didn't remember doing it, but there it was. Nolan, first on the list. I reached for a pen, drew one firm line through his name, then added a check mark. I folded the paper again, but not tightly. Placed it on the counter beside the other documents. I didn't toss it. Some leftovers need to be seen before they're thrown away. The kitchen clock ticked louder now. I filled a donation bag with unopened goods I knew I wouldn't use. Called Diane and said I'd be dropping some things at the church pantry after all. She didn't ask questions, Just said, "I'll be here." Before leaving, I opened my phone and checked my emergency contact settings. Nolan was still listed. I removed him. No confirmation screen, no warning, just gone. On the way to the pantry, I stopped at the notary's office. Walk-ins welcome. I signed one form, had another stamped. Slipped them both into the yellow folder in my passenger seat. The woman behind the counter looked like she wanted to chat, but I didn't offer anything beyond a thank you. At the church pantry, Diane waved me in. I handed over the donation bag, helped her stack some shelves. We didn't talk much, just moved side by side, organizing someone else's chaos. That part was easy. On the way out, I paused by the bulletin board. A flyer hung crooked. Potluck sign-up. Thanksgiving week for those without a seat. 3 words underlined. I stared at it, then took a picture. Not for Nolan, not for Brielle, not even for Finn. Just for me. At home, I printed the image and taped it to the inside of the cupboard door, next to my new grocery list. Fewer items this time, just enough for one. I sat down with my coffee and flipped through my trust documents once more, adjusted 2 notes, drew a star beside the line about charitable clauses. Then I reached for a clean page and wrote a new heading, Contingency Addendum, Post-Holiday Revisions. I turned on the oven at 6 a.m., no timer, no rush, just steps, brine, dry, butter under the skin, a sprig of thyme not for them, just for scent. I peeled carrots, sliced potatoes, measured stuffing mix into a bowl that once belonged to my mother. No shortcuts, no audience, just memory. The house stayed quiet. No footsteps overhead, no giggles down the hall. I didn't expect them. By noon, the turkey turned gold, skin crisped. The scent settled into the corners of the house like an old song. I pulled out one plate. Real porcelain. Not the everyday one with the faded rim. One wine glass. One folded cloth napkin white creased perfectly. I set the table near the window. Moved the chair slightly to face the light. Just enough for a shadow to fall the right way. Lit 2 candles. Poured myself a glass. In the center of the table, I placed the turkey on its platter, and just to the side, half tucked under my fork, I slid in one document. Trust amendment, pending. Signed, stamped date, blurred, but legible. I stepped back. Took the photo. Not a selfie, no caption. Just the table. Just the chair. Just the proof. I posted it. No tags, no hashtags. Just image. Then I put the phone face down and sat. I ate slowly. Every bite hot, seasoned, intentional. Nothing rushed. By the time I finished, my phone buzzed. One message, then another, then 12. Old neighbors, former co-workers, even the woman from the church pantry. Beautiful setting. Looks peaceful. Is that what I think it is on the corner of the table? Then finally, Nolan. Are you trying to say something? Nolan, Mom. Nolan, please don't make this public. Call me. Please. I didn't respond. I stacked my plate in the sink, wiped the counter, blew out the candles. The smell lingered. In the quiet, I made myself another cup of coffee, sat back down, picked up the trust document again, and under pending, I drew a neat check mark. I opened my phone at 7:12 a.m. 47 missed calls, all from Nolan. The first came at 8:03 the night before, the last just before dawn. I didn't check the voicemails right away. I made coffee first, washed the same mug twice, let the silence stretch. Then I pressed play. Hey, Mom saw your photo, just checking in. Looks nice. Click. Is that are you posting trust paperwork online now? What is that? Click. Call me. Seriously. Why are you doing this? This isn't click. We didn't mean to exclude you. We just needed space. That doesn't mean... Can we talk? Please. Click. It's not even legally possible, right? You said years ago, Mom, don't mess with the structure. That's college money. That's the house. Click. I talked to Brielle. She's upset. You're making things worse. Just take it down, okay? Click. You wouldn't really change the trust. That's just Symbolic right-click. Call me. Please. I'm serious now. Just call me. Each message chipped something off the edge of their story. They weren't confused anymore. They remembered. They remembered who funded the down payment, who set up the structure, who held the pen that signed every document they thought was theirs. The trust wasn't symbolic. It was still active, still binding, still mine. And I hadn't even started. I opened the file on my laptop, checked the email draft to Janice Holloway, attached the notarized update, reread the clause about revocation rights. Then I opened my banking portal, reviewed the fund labeled Discretionary Education Support, Minor Dependent. Finn's name was attached to it. Barely. By an old note from a year ago never finalized. One click archived the clause. Not deleted, not erased, just quieted. I stared at the account's current value. It had grown since Harold passed. Monthly interest, quarterly dividends. They hadn't touched it, but they'd counted on it, assumed it would be there. I logged out, sat at the table again, not out of habit, out of clarity. Outside, the wind lifted dry leaves down the street, the last signs of fall before the first hard freeze. My phone buzzed again. Nolan. We need to talk. Nolan. Seriously. Nolan. Is this really happening? Nolan. Don't do this. I watched the screen go black again. Then I walked to the hallway closet, pulled out the lockbox, and retrieved the smaller envelope Janice had given me. Activation instructions. Secondary beneficiaries. Still sealed? I slid it into my bag, placed the yellow folder beside it. And just before noon, I made an appointment. Not with Janice this time. With the bank. Trust division. Private client services. I didn't tell Nolan. I didn't reply. I let the voicemail sit. Let the silence do what it does best. Finish the sentence they started. I walked into Janice's office holding the binder. The same one from 2013. Black leather, corners worn, pages tabbed, clipped, organized. This time I didn't bring cookies or polite conversation. I sat. She closed the door. No small talk. Everything's prepared, she said. Final copies here. Sign where flagged. The changes are immediate. I opened the binder. Flipped to the flagged page. My hand didn't shake. I drew a line through Nolan's name. One stroke. Permanent. Then I signed below it. Full name. Clear. No abbreviations. Janice slid the updated file into a second folder, pressed a gold notary seal over the top copy. I flipped to the next section. Secondary beneficiaries. I added 2 new names. Diane's was one of them. She wouldn't know, not yet. But she'd been there when it counted without asking for anything. One was a scholarship fund I'd researched late into the night. Rural girls, first-generation college students, the kind no one invites to the table unless they build it themselves. Janice reviewed the rest. Are you sure she asked once? Yes, I said. This isn't revenge, it's redirection. She nodded. It'll be final by Monday. You'll get confirmation. I stood, took the binder back. Outside, the sky had that late November stillness. Windless, cold, but not yet biting. I walked instead of driving. Binder tucked under my arm. My feet followed old routes. Past the pharmacy, past the corner park where Finn used to run ahead of me with a red kite, the kind that always nosedived before catching again. Then past Nolan's street. I paused at the light. The house was 3 blocks down. The same shutters. Same silver sedan in the drive. I didn't turn, didn't look in. I kept walking. At home, I placed the binder on the table, opened to the first page, reviewed each section like a final edit before print. Everything was clean, everything intentional. I brewed coffee, sat down, reached for a pen, and on the inside cover of the binder, I wrote in small print. This wasn't silence. This was the rewrite. The email came at 9:43 p.m. Subject line Thanksgiving. Details. Proposal. No high Cressida. No hope you're well. Just bullet points. You're welcome to stop by between 1:02:00 p.m. It'll just be a small circle this year, close friends and immediate family. Please don't bring anything heavy. We already have a full menu. Let's skip formalities this time. No prayers, no stories, no old photos. Finn has a new food schedule. No sugar, no stuffing, no gravy, please. At the bottom, looking forward to keeping things light and simple this year. Brielle. I stared at the words. Proposal. Schedule. No sugar, no stories. She didn't say it, but I heard it clearly. No me. I clicked reply. Typed slowly. Noted. I'll bring something simple. Sent. Then I sat back. Let the weight of my own words settle. Not sarcasm, not defeat, just a tactic. Because sometimes winning isn't about refusing to play, it's knowing exactly when to. I printed the email, filed it with the rest. Then I began a list. What I will bring: store-bought dinner rolls. A small card for Finn unsigned, one sealed manila envelope. Nothing warm, nothing personal. Just light and simple. The next morning, I went to the store. No aisle wandering, no holiday spices. No looking for the cranberry sauce Finn used to beg for. I grabbed the cheapest dinner rolls they had. No bag, no ribbon. At home, I wrote the card. Just his name. No love grandma. No stickers. No smiley face. Just neat, clean ink. Then I opened the drawer. Pulled out the envelope marked Post-Amendment Summary. Lane Trust. Slipped in a printed copy of the updated beneficiary list. Highlighted two things. Nolan removed education clause. Inactive. Pending review, sealed it. Labeled it to be opened if asked. I placed it beneath the dinner rolls in the tote bag. Left the card on top. Then I changed clothes. Neutral sweater. Dark jeans. No jewelry. Nothing that could be called sentimental. I arrived at 12:58. Brielle opened the door with a surprised smile too tight to be genuine. Oh, hi, you're early. I won't stay long, I said. She stepped aside. I walked in. The house smelled like butter and rosemary. Not mine. Voices buzzed from the dining room. Nolan was pouring drinks. Finn was on the floor stacking blocks with someone I didn't recognize. No one looked up. I handed Brielle the bag. Just some rolls, I said, and a card for Finn. Great, she said, already setting it aside. We won't need the rolls, but thank you. I nodded. Took a seat by the window. Didn't speak unless spoken to. They didn't speak much. At exactly 1:42, I stood. Thanks for the hour, I said. Brielle followed me to the door. Glad you could stop by. I turned back once before stepping outside. Finn waved. I waved back. And just as the door began to close, I saw Nolan reach into the bag, pull out the envelope. He didn't open it. Not yet. But I watched his eyes widen as he read the label. I dialed Mrs. Delaney just after 8. She picked up on the first ring. Well, this is a surprise, she said. Are you free for brunch tomorrow? I asked. A pause. Then her voice softened. I'd be honored. I rose early the next day. Didn't rush. Didn't decorate. I baked biscuits, real ones. Buttery tall the way she taught me years ago. Brewed coffee strong enough to hold weight. Set the table with 2 chairs. No centerpiece. Just space. At 10:01 she arrived, coat tucked over her arm. Smile polite but curious. You didn't say why, she said, slipping off her gloves. I didn't want to explain over the phone. We sat. Passed jam, butter. Nothing heavy at first. Talked about the weather. Her sister's arthritis. The new church pianist who plays too loud. Then, after the second pour of coffee, I stood. Retrieved the folder. Laid the notarized copy on the table. Top page visible. Lane Family Trust. Amendments effective. Immediately. She didn't reach for it. Just looked at me. I need you to be the witness, I said. Not legally. Just for the story. Her brow furrowed, but she waited. I walked her through each change. Nolan removed. Finn's clause revised. The new beneficiaries' names she didn't know, but nodded at respectfully. When I finished, I folded my hands and looked at her. In case anything happens to me, I said, I want someone to know the facts before the fiction starts. Mrs. Delaney reached forward, touched the edge of the paper. They won't understand, she said gently. They won't need to. She looked at me, really looked. You're not angry, she said. No, just done. We ate the rest in silence. Not awkward, just settled. Before she left, I handed her a sealed envelope with her name written across the front. Hold on to it, I said. I won't need to use it, will I? I hope not. She hugged me at the door. Not tightly. Just enough. After she left, I cleared the plates, wiped the table. Then I walked to the hallway mirror and stared at my reflection. Not proud, not bitter. Prepared. I opened the drawer beside the mirror, pulled out the second envelope labeled for Finn. Later, and placed it in the yellow folder. My phone buzzed once. No subject. Just an image. Nolan, Brielle, Finn, and 3 friends I didn't recognize sat around their dining table. White candles, matching napkins. Everything plated like a magazine spread. Finn wasn't smiling. He was poking at a slice of turkey eyes off to the side. Brielle stared directly into the lens. Her smile was the only one that looked rehearsed. Nolan held up a glass of wine frozen mid-toast. I knew that expression, straining to project ease. I didn't reply. I didn't post. I didn't tap the photo to make it full screen. Instead, I placed my phone face down and rinsed the last coffee cup. At 2:37 p.m., I sat by the window. The street was quiet. No laughter, no firecrackers. Just the wind ticking against the glass like it was reminding me I was still here. Then I opened my laptop. Reflex had me checking email first. Junk mail. A newsletter I forgot to unsubscribe from. A receipt for the rolls I didn't bring home. And then I saw it. A post from Holloway Law's business account, just a photo and caption. Grateful this season to serve strong, thoughtful, generous clients. Your legacy is your voice. Protect it. No names, no tags. But the binder was in the photo. Closed. Familiar? Mine. The caption didn't lie. It didn't boast. But it said everything. I clicked away. Didn't like it. Didn't share. Just sat still. The chair across from me was empty. The good kind of empty. The kind you don't need to fill just to feel full. The wind pushed harder outside. I didn't shut the window. The house smelled like coffee and clean paper and a biscuit I didn't finish. My phone buzzed again. Another photo. Finn this time holding a sparkler in the driveway. No caption. I didn't open it. I stood, walked to the closet, pulled down the small suitcase, and opened the drawer with the yellow folder one more time, the organ cut off. Pastor Green stepped forward, palms open, voice clear. Before we close, I want to offer thanks. This year, 10 families in our community had full Thanksgiving meals, turkeys, groceries, gift cards, even heating support because of one donor. Murmurs rippled. Heads turned. Some smiled, others whispered. He held up a cream-colored envelope. I asked if I could name them. The answer was no. But they did let me read this. He unfolded the paper. His voice softened. Let no one feel forgotten at a table built by love. Signed CL 3 letters. No full name. But the silence that followed had a shape, a direction. It turned slowly toward me. I didn't blink, didn't smile. I stayed seated. Second pew from the front. Same place as always. 3 seats down. Nolan shifted, his jaw locked, shoulders pulled in. Brielle nudged him small, sharp. Her eyes scanned the room, then landed on mine. I met her gaze for a beat, then looked away. Pastor Green continued, like nothing cracked. Let's bow our heads. But they didn't. Not all of them, not right away. They were still looking, At me. I closed my eyes with the rest, let their attention fall and scatter. Outside, people gathered for coffee and donuts, small talk, laughs, gratitude. I stepped out quietly, not in a hurry, not hiding. Mrs. Lane, someone called. It was Maria, the mother of one of the families. Her eyes were red, but her arms were open. "Thank you," she said. I didn't deny it. Didn't nod either. Just squeezed her hand and said, "I'm glad it helped." Nolan walked out just as I turned toward the sidewalk. He didn't speak. His eyes moved over me like he wanted to say something, but didn't have the language for this version of me. The version that didn't ask for permission, didn't need a seat at their table. Behind him, Brielle stood stiff, one hand on Finn's shoulder. They hadn't clapped. They hadn't smiled. But they heard it. I walked home without checking if they followed. At my doorstep, I opened the mailbox. Inside one envelope, no return address. I opened it. A typed letter. Short. "We'd like to discuss future allocations of the trust fund given the recent social publicity. Please contact us before year-end. Lane and Associates Legal." I folded it once, tucked it under my arm, and walked inside. The knock came just after 6. I didn't check the peephole. I already knew. Nolan stood there, hands in his coat pockets, eyes darting toward the street like someone might be watching. No flowers, no pie, no remorse, just posture. "We should talk," he said. I waited. He shifted. "About the estate stuff." I raised an eyebrow. "You know he added all this legal activity. The trust. Taxes. Let's just be civil about it." I didn't step aside. Didn't invite him in. I reached behind the door. Pulled the envelope from the console table. Sealed. Labeled. Addressed to him. "Already handled," I said, and handed it over. He took it like it might be hot. I didn't wait for a reaction. I didn't give one. Just closed the door before his mouth could catch up to his ego. No click. No slam, just a soft shut. I locked it, walked back to the kitchen, boiled water, poured coffee, sat. No noise followed, no knock, no raised voice. He hadn't stayed. He wanted access, not answers. Control, not connection. I stirred my coffee and didn't sip it. Just let the scent rise. The quiet had weight now, but not the heavy kind. The envelope I gave him included a full breakdown. Updated beneficiaries, executor changes, trust payout delays pending review. A single note: "This is not retaliation. It's recognition." Civil wasn't the problem. Civil was easy. It was closeness that cracked. Closeness made room for betrayal. I drank the coffee, then stood, then opened the folder one more time. There was one letter left to send. The post went up before sunrise. Brielle's tone was sharp, but wrapped in lace. "Some people care more about appearances than family. Sad what ego does during the holidays." A photo followed. Thanksgiving leftovers on fine china. A wine glass tipped slightly. No faces. Just the kind of aesthetic meant to draw sympathy without context. I didn't reply. I didn't read the comments right away either, but hours later, curiosity pulled me in. Most replies were polite. "Sorry you're going through this. Families are hard. Hope it works out." A few weren't. "Didn't your mother-in-law help buy your house?" "Funny, didn't your son used to call her his hero? Kinda weird to talk about family like this if it's not your own blood." The more Brielle responded, the more the mask slipped. Each defense grew longer, more pointed, less graceful. By mid-afternoon, she posted again, "I'm done explaining. People twist everything." That's when I logged out. I didn't screenshot it. Didn't save receipts. Let it burn. Without me. I folded the last letter from my yellow folder and placed it inside a smaller envelope. Licked the seal. Wrote the name carefully. To be given to Finn. Upon request, I slipped it into the safe under the stairs. No witness needed for that part. I brewed another pot of coffee. Sat at the table. Opened the window just enough to let the air carry something away. Not pain, not anger. just the noise. The noise of trying to be understood by people who'd already decided not to hear. Brielle's meltdown wasn't the point. The point was that she needed to post. And I didn't. I finished my cup, turned off the phone completely, and started packing the box labeled Keep. I pulled the frame off the nail. The glass clinked faintly. Not broken, just loose from years of dust and weight. The photo inside used to mean something. Nolan, Brielle, Finn, and me. Christmas Eve years ago. Matching sweaters, matching smiles. But I remembered what happened the morning after that photo. And the morning after that. And the morning no one called back. I set it face down on the counter. Not in anger. Just done. Done curating a history they'd already rewritten. Done displaying a version of love I no longer recognized. I opened the bottom drawer. Pulled out an older photo. One they never asked about. One they probably forgot existed. Finn, age 4, standing on a chair beside me. Both of us covered in flour. He's holding a crooked cookie. I'm mid-laugh. My hair's a mess. His cheeks are streaked with frosting. It's not staged. It's not centered. It's real. I placed it in the now empty frame. Hung it back in the same spot. The nail didn't complain. I stepped back. Looked at it, then walked away. In the living room, a half-packed box waited. I knelt beside it. Tucked in another sweater. Closed an old cookbook. Labeled the lid. Keep Maui A. A breeze came through the window I hadn't closed fully. It didn't chill me. I let it move through the house. Let it stir the curtains. Let it lift the scent of cinnamon from the candle I never meant to light that morning. I didn't check the mailbox. I didn't check the news feed. I didn't check if Nolan called again. I just stood and opened the drawer with the travel documents. I opened the door and there it was. No knock, no footsteps. Just the envelope centered on the welcome mat like a final offering. No logo. No return address. Just my name in Nolan's handwriting. Sharp, rushed, still familiar. I didn't pick it up right away. I stepped around it. Brought the groceries in. Set the kettle on. Let the house settle before I touched the past again. Only once the steam curled up from the mug did I return to the door. I picked it up. Slid it clean. The letter was folded in half then again. Mom, I know we messed up. I don't know how to fix it. I miss you. Please talk to me. N. No date, no explanation, no apology that tried too hard. Just that. I read it once. Didn't read it again. Didn't cry. I took it to the safe. Unlocked it. Slid it inside between the notarized binder and the photo from the church fundraiser. Not to forgive, just to remember. I closed the safe. Spun the lock. Sat back down. The coffee was still hot. Outside, the wind moved the branches. The sky didn't promise anything. I didn't need it to. I took out the final folder, the one marked with just a dot in the corner. I laid it on the kitchen table and opened it. I dragged the chair across the floor, slow, steady, until it faced the morning. The window stayed open. The air carried salt wind and something softer. I brewed the coffee strong. Poured it into the ceramic mug I packed last, the one with the chipped rim and the faded phrase, "Home is earned." Next to it, I set the keys. Silver. New. Still warm from my palm. They opened the cottage I now owned 2 streets from the coast. White shingles, clean porch, no shared walls, no shared favors. The deed was in my name only. I sipped once. Let it settle. On the counter, I placed the framed copy of the new will. Heavy paper, clear font. Only 2 names now mine, and 1 more. No one else. No backup inheritor. No trustee debates. No second chances. Finn would understand it one day. I didn't call anyone. Didn't text. Didn't upload a photo. No caption, no hashtags. Just the breeze curling through the open window, brushing my arm, lifting the edge of the linen curtain I'd chosen myself. I leaned back in the chair. Listened. No shouting. No steps. No one asking for clarification, for reconsideration, for one more explanation wrapped in guilt. Just silence. And in it, space. Real space. I took another sip. Let the quiet fill me, not press against me. No performance, no punishment, just presence. I placed the mug on the sill, still warm, still half full. And finally, I exhaled.